In my last lesson, we saw how I've been using the law of assumption to change my life. The law of assumption states that you manifest what you choose, believe, expect, and assume you will manifest. In another lesson, I'm going to go into the most common methods and techniques you can use to manifest. There are many methods you can use, and you don't have to use the same ones I chose. But before I talk about all of that, I want to go over what underpins the law of assumption. In order to use the law, you have to understand how it works. My understanding of the law of assumption comes from a few places. In this lesson, I'm going to go into more detail on all of them and how they intersect. Reality Transurfing, Vadim Zeland. The first source I want to cover that elucidates the law of assumption is Vadim Zeland, the author of the book titled Reality Transurfing. Vadim Zeland is a Russian mystic and quantum physicist. It is a 760 pages book that I highly recommend. Here are the salient points from it. Vadim Zeland says that life consists of two layers. The first layer is the world of matter around you, which is obviously your 3D reality, and the second layer is the alternative space, also called the space of variations or the quantum field, which is a metaphysical layer of reality. According to Vadim Zeland's teachings, in your life, you're looking into a mirror, and your 3D reality is what is reflected onto the mirror based on your attitude towards life. For example, are you smiling or frowning? If your physical world is you looking into the mirror, the alternative space is what's behind the mirror. Vadim Zeland says that the alternative space, the piece behind the mirror, is an information structure in which the events of all possible outcomes and scenarios are stored. It contains everything, past, present, and future. It resembles a matrix like chains linked together. The number of variance possibilities that could occur is truly endless, and they all have their own locations like coordinates on a map. Each possibility event in the alternative space has its own scenery and script. The scenery is the backdrop of the event, and the script is what happens, or the plot. The scenery is how food tastes, what the light looks like, how vivid the colors are, and how beautiful or ugly everything is. You cannot change the scenery or script of the events that show up in your reality, but you can instead choose again and move to a different possibility. Similar events, possibilities in the alternative space are arranged onto a lifeline. You travel along these lifelines during your life. The lifeline you're on depends very much on the quality of the energy you're putting out into the world. Vadim Zeland says we are like radio transmitters who receive energy from source and then process it through our chakras and energy body. We modify that energy with the contents of our subconscious mind. Our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, intentions, actions, attitudes, mental pictures, and assumptions. Then that energy goes out into the alternative space and activates a particular part of the space that corresponds to what we're putting out. We end up in that part of the alternative space, having materialized a lifeline that corresponds perfectly to what we emitted. What you see around you, therefore, in 3D reality is an exact match for the contents of your subconscious mind. If you don't like what you're seeing, you can change it by setting a new intention. Vadim Zeland says that you cannot change what shows up in your reality. Living in the 3D is like walking through an art gallery. If you do not like the exhibit, do not throw a tantrum about how bad it is. Instead, simply move on to the next exhibit. How do you change your reality? Well, the conscious mind is the master, and the subconscious mind is the servant. This means that you can reprogram the subconscious mind with your conscious mind, sometimes as quickly as in a matter of days, and start shifting your reality. More on this in a later module. In the next video, I'm going to cover the second writer that most people associate with the law of assumption.